Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by FanDuel. I'm Nick Giffen, predictive analyst here at Action Network, and joining me is our director of predictive analytics, Sean Kerner. Sean, wild Sweet 16 Elite 8 round, and now we're down to 4 teams. Yep. First of all, before we even get into our picks, what do you think of this tournament?
It's been wild, and you've been crushing it. I've been trying to keep up with you, although not as successful. But I'm trying to avenge last week, man. I had two just horrific beats last week with the Noel under. I had the Keyshawn Johnson under, and they gave him a phantom rebound to go over by half. But that's what makes this madness. That's what makes it so much fun. So looking to go 2-0 here today with a pretty heavy plus underdog I got for you too.
Nice. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I have a nice plus underdog as well. It's not going to be as long as yours, I see. But yeah, we are into the final four. You know, over the first 2 weekends, like you said, we've been crushing it way up there in terms of our record. I know mine is 29-10, and we're up several dozen units. So every pick we do give out is tracked in the Action Network app before the games even start. So make sure you download the Action Network app and follow both Sean and myself for all of our college basketball picks and other picks that we give. Also, if you're looking for deep dives into every game, we will have our other podcasts here in the Action Network, Big Bets on Campus, and we will have extensive breakdowns on actionnetwork.com and in the Action app. So now it's time to dive into the player props for the Final Four here. Sean, we're going to begin with the Florida Atlantic versus San Diego State game. Give us your first prop there.
Yeah, so for that game, I love John L. Davis of Florida Atlantic to score the most points in the game at plus 380. Now, first of all, this is just going to be a low-scoring game in general, and both teams rank inside the top 30 in bench minutes played. Therefore, you see 9 players play between 15 and 30 minutes for each team. So, points are going to be pretty evenly distributed. And Davis has our highest point projection at 13.6 in this game. Only 3 other players have a point projection over 10 from us. 2 for Florida Atlantic, 1 for San Diego State. The only San Diego State player with a projection over 10 is Matt Bradley, who has been held to just 8 total points the past 2 games. And he's seen his playing time dip way down to 20 minutes a game the past 2. So he might not be as big of a threat in this market as usual. But I just love the floor ceiling combo that Davis has in order to take down this market. In his 11 games since he became a starter, he's only finished below 12 points once, and he's scored 15 or more points in 5 of the 11 games. And in this game, that could be enough to take down this market. And on the matchup side, San Diego State is a great defensive team. They rank 20th in effective field goal percentage allowed. However, they can't play defense at the free throw line. So I think that's where he could have an edge here. He gets to the line at the highest rate among Florida Atlantic players, and he's an 86% free throw shooter. So that's one way he can overcome this really tough matchup and not only be the leading scorer for FAU, but for the entire game. So based on my sims, I have him finishing as a top scorer around 24% of the time, with the true odds being closer to plus 320. So I like the value we're getting here at plus 380.
Definitely. I like that. As you mentioned, we have him projected as the top scorer in this game at 13.6 points. Second, we have Elijah Martin at 12.1. Third, we have Matt Bradley at 11.2. And fourth, we have Vladislav Golden at 10. Those are the 4 players, I should say, in this game we have projected for double digits. Fifth, the enigmatic Darian Trammell, who has bit me each of the last 2 weeks there. So I'm glad you didn't say him because, I'm going to keep taking his unders. It's not my pick for this one, but I am going to keep taking his unders. I think I'll probably, look into another Darian Trammell fade in the Final Four. But for my pick from this game, I'm going to take Micah Parrish under 3.5 rebounds at plus 130. And like you mentioned, Sean, both teams get a lot of players involved. We have on San Diego State about 9 or 10 players projected for at least 15 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of time where Micah Parrish is not even on the floor. And in his recent sample of games, he's pretty much played right around half the minutes, a little bit under on some occasions, a little bit over on some occasions. There was a 28-minute game in there, but we're projecting him for just over half of the minutes played. And Florida Atlantic themselves, they're a very efficient shooting team. So we actually have them projected to miss only 30 field goals. So if you think about, they're going to miss 30 field goals at ballpark, and Micah Parrish is only going to be on the court for half of that. That means he's only going to be on the court for about 15 or so rebound opportunities on the defensive end, his defensive end. And that's where he gets most of his rebounds. He's all players tend to have a higher defensive and offensive rebound rate, but for Parrish, it is definitely a big gap there. So if we take his 15.5% defensive rebound rate on those 15 available opportunities, puts him at about 2.2, 2.3 defensive boards. And since he's not a big offensive rebound guy, I'm not really worried about the matchup there or anything. We have projected for 0.8 offensive rebounds, which looks consistent with his box score. So we're overall projecting Micah Parrish for about 3.2 rebounds, and under 3.5 is at plus 130. We have him favored to stay under. We're getting plus money. I like that one there. What do you think?
Yeah, no, just the fact that you're getting plus 130 is just icing on the cake on this. I love your rationale. And yeah, we have him projected for about 20 minutes, but he has such a low floor. Again, they just use such a heavy rotation that ultimately hurts him in a market like this.
Yeah, for sure. So that is Sean's pick and my pick for San Diego State versus Florida Atlantic. But there's another Final Four game going on. It is a team you and I both had in our Final Four, UConn versus, surprisingly, the Miami Hurricanes out of the ACC that has been taking a beating so far in the tournament overall, with the exception of the Miami Hurricanes. So, Sean, first of all, holy crap with Miami. And second of all, what's your pick here?
Yeah, I think just UConn making it to the Final Four is why my bracket's in the 98th percentile. It's just been wacky. And then I had Miami, Florida losing in the first round to Drake or Kent State, whoever it was they played way back 2 weeks ago. But yeah, just crazy Final Four we have here. But for this game, I'm going Nigel Pack under 14.5 points at minus 120. It seems scary to fade him here, just considering he's cleared this in 9 of his last 15 games. He's averaged 15.7 points per game over that stretch, and UConn has averaged 80.7 points per game over that span. But now they face a UConn defense that ranks 11th in KenPom's adjusted efficiency, and their team totals all the way down to 71.5. So it's going to be much tougher for him to score in this matchup. But this is an even tougher matchup for Pack, just considering UConn has allowed the 8th lowest effective field goal percentage in the country. And they also send their opponents to the free throw line at one of the highest rates in the country. And Pack tends to get most of his points from the field. He doesn't get to the line often. It's, Wong, Omir, Miller, all get to the line 2-3 times more often than Pack. So they should see a slight uptick in scoring here, while Pack will certainly take a hit. So that's why we're projecting Pack closer to 12.5 points here, with a 61% chance of staying under 14.5 points.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That is one I was looking at, and my play is actually going to correlate with your play. But you mentioned that 98th percentile bracket. Obviously, we had the same Final Four, so we're both 98th percentile in our bracket this year, and we both had Miami going out in the first round. So, we can't get everything right there, but definitely surprising. So you're taking Packs under, and you mentioned that could lead to some more points for some other guys. That's where I'm going to go with Norchad Omir over 11.5 points, and you can get that at plus 100. The thing I like here, as you mentioned, Miami, UConn, they're really good at shutting down the three, and they send their opponents to the line at a high rate. Well, Omir doesn't take 3-pointers. He's made 5 all year. Omir scores from inside and he gets to the line, and UConn is 361st out of 363 teams in percentage of points scored against them from 3. And since Omir doesn't take 3s, that means they've got to be really high in percentage of points scored against them in 2-pointers and from the foul line. And like I said, that's where Omir exclusively scores from. And he is a 73.3% free throw shooter. So he's good enough here to capitalize on those free throw opportunities. It's not like he's at like 57%. So I definitely think just the way this matchup is set up, you're right. UConn is going to be able to shut down Nigel Pack, prevent some of those 3-point shots from going in. And alternatively, Omier is going to have to score inside here on UConn. So I think, it's a nice correlated play we have here, Sean.
Yeah, no, I love this one. Like I was alluding to, Wong and Omier certainly benefit just based on UConn sending opponents to the line so much. Kind of what I was saying with Davis's, leading the game in scoring. UConn is a great defensive team. However, they can't really defend free throws. So getting to the free throw line is key here, and Omier should be able to do that based on the matchup.
Yeah, and that's why we have him projected for 12.9 points, which is more than a full point above that 11.5. So even money there, definitely like it. So those are our two Final Four picks, one from Sean, one from myself for each game. And that is going to do it for the Final Four Player Props episode on the Action Network podcast. Find more from Kerner and myself on Action Network's website. And don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app to follow all of our props and other picks. Best of luck with all your bets this weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Action Network podcast presented by FanDuel.